Crap!
Yelled the Blue Beetle as he barreled through the empty Metropolis Avenue, hopping over a newspaper stand and dodging laser blasts and gunfire.
Haven't had this good a chase since I fought the Kryptonian,
said the alien biker as he pulled a laser cannon out of thin air. He set his sights for the bug, but would then be stopped by pistol fire, destroying his scope, courtesy of the cowboy.
Jam, you won't get the bounty, partner.
The Blue Beetle kept running, but was stopped by the hunter who had grown to the size of a giant and blocked the Blue Beetle's path to escape.
When I am done with you, time won't even remember your name.
A bullet then swiftly lodged into the hunter's leg, thanks to the marksman.
It really is crazy that any of you think that you're gonna get him. Or that bounty.
Who the hell are you guys? Could really use the help.
Though no one heeded Ted's call as he ran through the empty city streets. He searched his utility belt and found...
Nothing! Seriously, I have nothing? Oh god, for all the moments for me to not have a gadget.
At the moment he stopped to check his belt, the hunter, the marksman, the biker, and the cowboy all arrived at the inventor's location, all prepared to collect their reward.
Ah!
Now, how did the bouncing Blue Beetle end up being hunted like a mad dog through the streets of Metropolis? Well, it all begins in the Justice League International Metropolis Embassy, which was finally finished being refurbished again. Currently, the JLI were moving back into their home. Well, it's more like Rocket Red was moving back into their home while the rest of the team lounged around.
Does anyone else plan on helping me carry the furniture?
You're the only one with power armor. You got this, Ruski.
Says the man with magic ring that do everything.
2 things, Tin Man. 1, it can't do everything. And 2, it sure as heck ain't magic.
Name one thing ring can't do.
It can't... No, it can't. But... No, I did that last week.
Point proven. Now help, Green Man.
Wait, I got something. The ring can't do crap against the color yellow.
Yellow?
Yup.
That seems like a very arbitrary color.
It's no worse than the original Green Lantern. He had a weakness to wood.
Hal Jordan had a weakness to wood?
For being from the future, you know zilch about history, kid. I'm talking about my pal, Alan Scott.
Oh yeah, that's Snooze Fest.
Well, guy, looks like no boxes are yellow. So, put that ring to use.
Fine. But I better not be the only one helping. Shiny McPlatinum here over there looks like he's not terribly busy.
Quite the contrary. Mr. Gold is currently working on a life or death issue.
Which is...
I have to update my social media. It's almost been 30 minutes. My followers are probably worried sick.
You know, you remind me a lot of Johnny Thunder, Booster.
No clue who that is, but he sounds handsome.
He was handsome. But he was also a fame-chasing fool. In later years, he finally learned how to grow up, and I pray you do the same, son.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with handsome.
Hey, does anybody know where Cord is? I needed to talk to him.
As Mr. Terrific asked, Ted Cord walked out of his lab wearing a lab coat, jeans, and a t-shirt with Superman's emblem on it. The scientist held in his hands a small round blue device with an orange glass plate on it.
Looks like we found the bug.
Team, I would like you to behold my latest gadget, Buggles! Using some scans of the future tech that makes up Skeets and the internal ideas behind Mr. T's T-balls.
We've been over this. It's T-spheres.
Are we sure another gadget is a good idea, Ted?
Of course it is! Buggles is a purely information-based device. He's meant to follow us around in battle, record our fights, and analyze them so we can learn from our mistakes.
And what if a villain gets a hold of this? Imagine someone like Lex Luthor, the Joker, or any number of bad people instantly learning our weaknesses and how we fight.
Well, I hadn't thought about...
Of course you didn't think. Just like you didn't think about how your stupid pocket beetles would destroy this embassy.
That feels a little harsh.
She's right, though. This new invention is just going to leave another mess for the rest of us to clean up.
Ted, maybe you should stick with the gadgets you already have.
Nobody's trying to be mean here, son. We're just offering some feedback.
Before anyone can say anything else, a dejected Ted Cord scurried back off to his lab. Mr. Terrific stood up and followed Ted before stopping and turning back to the rest of the team.
I expected better from you. You had zero reason to be harsh to Cord. You're all adults, so let's act like it.
Then Michael left the room to follow his fellow inventor. As they left, Guy and Dimitri came back carrying more boxes.
For the record, I'm like negative 1,000 something.
Why is everyone so frickin' tense?
Did we miss something?
One perk of being sanctioned and funded by the United Nations was that every single member of the Justice League International was given their own room in the embassy. Some members, like Guy, Tora, Dimitri, B, and Michael John Carter, lived in the Metropolis Embassy. Others, like Jay, Ralph, and Michael Holt, had homes nearby and would commute into work and had their rooms be an office of sorts. Ted Cord had his home in Hub City, so he used his room as a personal laboratory, one in which he was currently working as Michael walked in.
Cord, I apologize for what they said back there.
No, I think they're right.
Elaborate.
For the past few weeks, I've just been inventing, creating more and more gadgets to add to my arsenal.
Ted pointed to a section of the lab covered wall-to-wall in gadgetry. Everything from beetle rangs to grapple guns to concrete pellets.
Because after our whole encounter with Roulette, I realized something. I am on a team with gods. Jay can run faster than sound. Guy can do almost anything with his ring. Marie has access to the power of every animal on the planet, and Tura is basically a goddess.
Those may be true, but what makes you unique to this team is that your mind...
And I'm not even the best at that. You're smarter than me in every way, plus you're a great leader. I am redundant on this team, so I try to occupy a different niche. Gadgets. I try to create the right tool for any and every situation, but I can't even do that right.
That's not true, Cord. If I was put in the situation you were in with Manga Con, I would never have been able to find the loophole in the contract.
Terrific. Let's be real here. If you were in that situation, you would have found a better solution, and you know that.
Before Mr. Terrific could retort, every screen in the room, and for that matter, and the entire planet, would be taken over by the visage of Manga Con.
Good morning, Vietnam! And the rest of the universe, for that matter. It is I, Manga Con, a previous multifaceted media mogul, now just a multi-zillionaire. My empire was toppled by one man, the Blue Beetle. So, I have decided to offer the entire universe a challenge. The first person to kill the Blue Beetle gets 6 Zillion Credits.
Which, for Earth currency, roughly equates to $5 trillion US. Payment of the bounty will come as a direct wire transfer when the vitals of the target are eliminated.
Thank you, my loyal servant, Elron. Now, as they say in that Earth film, The Hungry Tournament, let the games begin!
What? What's going on?
Looks like that intergalactic TV executive you pissed off is settling the score. T-Sphere 36 connect to the team network and broadcast the following. JLI, suit up. You saw the message. Our first priority is to protect Blue Beetle.
Terrific commanded the team with confidence, posting them around the entire embassy. Fire and Ice stood guard at the roof of the embassy to warn the team of any incoming threats. Rocket Red and Vixen based themselves around the perimeter as a second layer of outward defense. Booster Gold, Elongated Man, and Guy Gardner stood in the lobby in case they managed to pass the first 2 layers of defense. This left Terrific and Jay taking Blue Beetle to one of the many rooms in the embassy.
Terrific. Where are you leading us?
I know this is cliche to say, but according to my calculations, it will take less than 10 minutes for somebody to come here and try to claim the bounty.
Yeah, that still doesn't explain why you're leading me to Mrs. Dibny's room?
This was an old trick we learned back in the days of the JSA with Joan. If you have a civilian who lives or works with the team, you make their room the most secure in the entire house.
Mr. Miracle, an alien escape artist who I knew from a couple years back, helped me design Sue's office to be the most impenetrable place on the planet. With the press of a button, the walls can be a foot thick with metal 10 times harder than diamond and insulating from all kinds of energy and radiation.
So I'm just gonna sit there and let the rest of you save the day?
No, you aren't just going to sit there. If somehow something goes bad, I'm going to be here to run you to safety.
You guys, I'm not some damsel. Why don't we just take the fight to MangaCon? We can't just sit here and let this happen to me. Cord Industries has a spacecraft. We can use it to fly out and beat his brains in.
Khan will be expecting that. We will send Guy out for the recon in an hour. Then reassess the situation.
Oh, great. I get to be the sitting duck. Quacktastic.
Better than a cooked goose.
Mr. Terrific then input a few codes into a terminal on the wall, and the room was transformed into a super strong panic room to protect the Blue Beetle. After a few minutes of Ted yelling about how this situation was stupid and he should really be helping, he finally calmed down.
So, did you bring anything to pass the time? Because I left my phone in my other pants.
I brought cards.
Oh my god, they're here to kill me! I mean, what was that?
Looks like someone came to collect on that bounty. Get ready, Ted. If they made it this far, they're bad news.
After 2 punches with super strength, the duo of heroes looked on as chalk-white fingers pierced through the metal wall and ripped it off. Standing in the debris of the embassy, a large man with chalk-white skin, red eyes, black streaks on his face, and long black dreadlocks that draped along his motorcycle vest that stated on the back, "Bite me, fanboy." Wow, that was a lot of description. Stood with a large gun and an even larger hook on a chain. This was the main fraggin' man, Lobo.
Looks like this bounty's about to be a lot easier to collect. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Not if I've got anything to say about it.
The red-headed Green Lantern flew up to the space biker and created a construct of a giant bucket to try and deck him. But the biker grabbed Guy by the throat and threw him to the ground.
For the love of space, Dolphin! Why won't you basket just stay down?
Earthlings ain't so good at the whole yielding thing, bud.
Good thing I prepared for you, fragging greenies. I heard Earth was crawling with them.
From his pocket, the biker pulled out a small grenade and threw it at the Green Lantern. Guy caught it, but it exploded in a puff of yellow smoke.
You think that's gonna take me down?
Of course not. But this will.
The biker then knocked Guy out with one super strong punch.
Okay, now that I'm done with that trib, it's time for the main man to go after the main course.
Time to run, kid.
Jay grabbed Ted bridle style and ran as fast as he could away from Lobo, but the main man only smiled.
I'm gonna have so much fun with these mass stitches.
Suddenly, out of nowhere appeared Lobo's Space Hog, a personal space cruiser he tricked out like an Earth motorcycle.
Time to go beetle hunting.
I have never gone this fast!
I would be going faster, but that might liquefy your organs. Regardless, there should be no way Lobo can catch us now.
I wouldn't be so sure! Look behind you!
Trailing the pair was Lobo on his Space Hog with a devious grin on his face.
Boy, am I glad this bad boy has a Speed Force engine!
Oh, of course it does! Why wouldn't it? Does God hate me or something?
At this point, son, it's a strong possibility.
Jay, I need you to get me to Hub City. Specifically into the main Cord Industries building. told you, we have a ship. We can take out MangaCon.
I would say that's a bad idea, but I think Lobo took out the rest of the league.
I fragging did! So just give up, basket!
As Lobo gloated, he finally gained on the Scarlet Speedster. He swung his chain around to launch it towards Jay.
Guess I'm going flash fishing today. Or flishing, if you will.
Faster, Jay! You have to go faster!
I don't think I can. What I can do is buy you some time.
Ah! Smart move, old-timer. You're just delaying the inevitable. You ain't ever seen anything like me.
Ha! You think you're the first alien I've fought.
As Jay battled Lobo at super speed, Ted was thrown off of Jay, ending up in a very familiar location.
Jesus, Jay! You can't just throw a guy. Okay. I just have to figure out where I am. I see tombstones, great grass, a statue of Barry Allen. Oh my god. I'm in Valhalla again. At least this time it appears to be the real one.
It seems strange that Khan has a bounty on a corpse.
Who in the...
Ted looked over and saw the grave of Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle, was actively being dug into by a large orange man with pointed ears wearing a purple spandex costume.
Hey, you little rascal, do you know who the hell that is? It's the original Blue Beetle right there. My mentor. And you're desecrating his final resting place.
Original, you say?
The orange man turned his head to look at Ted Cord, but once he did, he revealed his faceless visage.
Ah, God, don't tell me you're another one of those alien nut jobs.
Ah, you must be the Blue Beetle Khan was referring to. I suppose introductions are in order. I am Chun Yu, the Faceless Hunter, and you are my chosen prey.
The Faceless Hunter charged towards Cord, growing in size with each step. First 6 feet, then 10, then 20, and finally a whopping 50 feet, preparing to squish Ted like a bug. You get it? Like a bug? Because that's his whole motif. He's a bug.
Oh my Lanta?
Luckily, Blue Beetle rolled away and hid behind the headstone of Dinah Drake.
Hide while you can, little bug. I will find you and eventually squash you.
Wow, thank Cord. What gadget can you use to take him out? Cement pellets? No, there isn't water available. Pocket torch? No, too small for him. Super putty, but I'd need him to shrink to normal size for that to work.
I can hear you, bug.
Crap.
The hunter slammed his hand down over Cord, grabbing him.
The contract stated dead or alive. I hope Khan can recognize your smashed corpse.
He won't need to.
Blue Beetle activated his utility belt's taser, electrifying the hell out of the Faceless Hunter, shrinking him down to a much smaller size.
Now that's more manageable.
How about I become even more manageable?
The hunter then charged towards Ted once again, but now with each step he got smaller and smaller until he couldn't be seen.
Crap, you shrink too?
As is a gift of my people, for we exist in what you would call the microverse.
Wait, if you're so small, then how can I still hear you?
Because I am in your ear.
Then Ted felt a pounding headache as Chun-Yu, inside his head, began to tear apart his eardrum.
God, I cannot believe I have to do this. But...
Ted brought an aerosol can up to his ear and sprayed it, flushing the microscopic menace out.
Bug spray 1. Faceless hunter. 0. But I know it's not gonna last long. I gotta make it to Hub City, fast. If I remember correctly, Batman should have a Batcave set up in Metropolis. I could probably use the Batmobile to get to Hub City. He'd let me borrow it for a few minutes, right?
On the rooftops of Gotham City, the Dark Knight and his trusty sidekick fought against a man made entirely of mud.
Give it up, Clayface. Me and Bats are gonna make you just another pile of mud on my boot.
Stop taunting the opponent, Robin.
Sorry, boss. It's just so damn fun.
Language, Robin.
We get it! It's the Bats and Robin Comedy Hour. You won't be so funny when you're buried in mud! Oh, shut it.
Robin hurled a compact taser disc. It detonated against Clayface's chest in a crackling burst of electricity.
Ah!
That was excessive, Jason. You could have...
Looks like the bat phone is ringing.
It's just a phone. Not everything I do is bat-themed, Jason. Quiet. Batman speaking.
Hey, Bats.
Oh, it's you.
What a warm way to greet a close friend.
How did you get this number?
Oh, you know, just borrowed Jay's phone. Other pants. It's a long story. Listen, I need the address of your nearest Batcave. One, and preferably with a car I could borrow or steal, but borrow just sounds nicer.
This is about the bounty, isn't it?
You saw that, huh?
It was broadcast on every frequency on Earth. A bounty that size will attract professionals, including an old adversary of mine, Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, the world's deadliest assassin. Imagine my mind for tactics, without the moral restraint.
Oh, cool. No, that's not that's not terrifying at all. No.
I'm sending coordinates to a secondary cave beneath Metropolis, Wayne Industries branch. Be careful, Ted.
Since when am I not careful? Don't answer that.
With the call ended, Ted limped through the parking garage of the Metropolis Wayne building, clutching his side from earlier impacts. As he punched the elevator button, a bullet slammed into Ted's thigh, sending him to the ground. A man in red and silver tactical gear with a silver targeting monocle stepped out from the shadows, a wrist-mounted rifle smoking.
Found you, Beetle.
And you must be Deadshot. I gotta say, I pictured more flair.
I don't need flair. I just need a line of sight.
Another shot. Ted barely rolled behind a concrete pillar as the bullet punched clean through it.
You're not enhanced. No powers, no armor. Just a smart guy with toys. This ends quick.
Hey, don't forget my crowd-pleasing charm.
A small disc clattered at Deadshot's feet.
Flashbang.
Blinding light filled the garage as Ted barely scrambled upright.
My helmet compensates for up to 10 million lumens.
A shot grazed Ted's shoulder. He cried out, slamming against a parked car.
Okay, plan B.
Ted hurled a beetle-shaped boomerang.
Eat Beetle Rang!
Deadshot snatched it midair and whipped it back. It buried itself in Ted's already injured shoulder.
Now that hurt!
You're outclassed.
Deadshot advanced, weapon charging for a kill shot, targeting centers on Ted's forehead.
It's nothing personal. Just $5 trillion.
Yeah, but that's the problem with you assassins. Always saying nothing personal when it feels extremely personal.
I just want to take my kid to Disney. And buy Disney.
Ted's hand slipped into his belt, not for a weapon, but a small capsule. He crushed it against the ground. Thick blue foam erupted outward, expanding rapidly, hardening around Deadshot's legs and lower torso, cementing him to the garage floor.
What?
That is polymer insulation foam, designed for industrial accidents and homicidal maniacs, apparently.
Deadshot fired repeatedly, but the foam absorbed the shots, sealing over the muzzle. Ted staggered forward and headbutted the assassin's helmet with everything he had left. The targeting lens shattered.
Yeah? Well, you rely on perfect aim, so let's see how you do blind.
Deadshot ripped one arm free, swinging wildly. Ted ducked, grabbing a loose cable from the wall and jammed it into the damaged eyepiece. Sparks exploded from the helmet. Deadshot collapsed, twitching, temporarily unconscious, and fused to the floor in hardened foam.
Blue Beetle. 1. World's deadliest assassin. 0. For now.
Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Ted looked at his bleeding leg, his shoulder, and the wrecked garage.
Okay. Let's just check up. I am bleeding. It's from like 6 different places. And my knee is completely shot. Just gotta get to the Batcave and then to the Batmobile.
Ted Cord barreled down the highway in his borrowed Batmobile toward Hub City. The engine howled, as did he as he clutched his ribs in agony, one hand sticky with dried blood.
Okay. What's next? It's easy, right? It's easy. Just gotta make it to Hub City, go to Cord Industries, get the rocket, fly the rocket to space, take the flight to Manga and absorb Elrond's cologne. Crap. I don't think I can do this alone.
The words hung in the cockpit. Alone. Alone. The screen in the dash still flickered with news footage of the bounty. Images of the embassy under attack. Guy going down. Jay running. Pure chaos.
He wants me isolated. That's the show. Bug hunt. No. Bug on the run. This is his plan. This is how he's going to get his twisted revenge.
Ted exhaled hard, then violently jerked the wheel. The Batmobile screeched into a sharp U-turn, tires smoking as it headed back towards Metropolis.
You better believe if I have to fight a space mogul with an ego problem, I am doing it with my friends.
The skyline of Metropolis appeared in the distance. Ted pressed the accelerator. It slammed into the side of the Batmobile like a missile. The car spun wildly, metal shrieking against asphalt before launching off the road and crashing through wooden fencing. The Batmobile skidded to a stop in a cloud of dust.
What the hell was that?
Ted coughed, forcing the canopy open. He stumbled out and looked around.
Okay. Either I hit my head way harder than I thought, or I am in an Old West boom town.
Wooden storefronts lined a dusty street, a saloon with swinging doors, a sheriff's office with a crooked star, and painted desert cliffs in the distance.
I didn't know we were getting a new Jonah Hex movie.
Love that one from the 80s. Shame the reboot lacked the same charm.
Ted slowly turned to his right. Perched atop a white horse with massive feathered wings was a cowboy in a green and purple futuristic getup, brown shawl draped across his shoulders, and a wide-brimmed hat tipped low over a red bandana.
Terra Man's the name. Hunting bounties is my game.
Of course it is.
The horse beat its wings once, kicking dust across the street as it charged down that street towards Ted.
$5 trillion is a powerful motivator.
6 Zillion Credits, actually. Come on, be respectful. Get my value right if you're gonna kill me.
Terra Man smirked and slid off the saddle, boots hitting the dirt.
I've always liked a proper showdown.
His hands hovered just above twin high-tech pistols at his hips.
Proper showdown, buddy. You know the whole town is it's fake, right? Those cliffs are plywood. The cactus has a barcode. Are those mountains painted?
Bullets are real.
The wind picked up. A tumbleweed rolled between them.
Oh, let me guess. We're gonna walk 10 paces, partner.
Nah, we draw when it feels right.
Silence. Ted's fingers twitched near his utility belt. His knee trembled from the earlier gunshot. He winced, but stood tall.
You ever think about retirement? You know, open a ranch, raise some robo-cattle.
I'll retire when the money rolls in.
Terra Man's hand moved a fraction of an inch. Ted drew. Twin red bolts scorched past Ted as he dove behind a water trough. The trough exploded into splinters.
Less talking.
Ted flung a smoke pellet, and blue haze filled the street.
Tricks from a toy box.
Terra Man ignited a jet systems to send him rising above the smoke to get a clear shot.
Yeah, well, this toy box cost an awful lot less than your silly little blasters.
Ted ricocheted a beetle ram off a saloon sign, clipping Terra Man's wrist. One pistol fired wildly into the sky.
Cute.
Terra Man fired back. The sheriff's badge sign exploded. Wood rained down around Ted.
Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's very, very bad if you're Ted. And I'm Ted.
Ted slammed a magnetic pulse device against a hitching post and triggered it. The Terra Man's jet systems flickered and veered off balance.
Clever Lil Beetle.
Ted lunged forward and tackled Terra Man into the dirt. The two tumbled across the dusty street, fists flying.
I am not your payday.
Everyone is someone's payday.
Terra Man kneed Ted in the ribs. Ted gasped, his vision blurry. Terra Man shoved him off and scrambled for his fallen blaster. Both men ended up on their knees in the middle of the street, guns raised, 10 feet apart. Silence.
You pull that trigger, you still gotta get me back to Cod alive enough to know that it's me.
Dead pays the same. I just need your pretty little face.
Ted's eyes flicked past Terra Man. In the far distance beyond the film set's false horizon, sirens wailed. Explosions echoed from the direction of the city.
You hear that?
Probably another hunter cashing in.
Ted slowly lowered his weapon just a fraction.
That's my team.
Terra Man hesitated, just for a second.
So if you want your money, you better move. Because if those psychos get me first, you're getting nothing.
Terra Man's jaw tightened.
Then I reckon I better hurry.
Terra Man fired a blast at Ted's feet, kicking up dust and forcing him back. The cowboy leapt onto his winged horse.
Run, Beetle. Makes it more fun.
The horse rocketed skywards, disappearing towards the city. Ted coughed in the settling dust. He looked towards Metropolis.
Right. Run.
He staggered back to the Batmobile, sparks flying from its side. The engine was not working anymore, and Ted had no choice but to go on foot.
Okay, Court. Back to running.
Now we return to where this all began, with Ted Cord being chased by Lobo, Chun-Yul, Deadshot, and Terra down the highway of Metropolis. It seemed all hope was lost for the Blue Beetle until...
Says here I got an order for, Lobo. One knuckle sandwich coming right up.
Didn't I knock your ugly fragging mug out already?
From the ring, a giant construct of a fist slams down on Lobo.
The main man doesn't appreciate.
The fist slams him into the ground. Again.
Yo, Justice League! Let's kick these poos' cans!
Cresting over the horizon, the rest of the JLI, mostly healed from their prior battle with Lobo, rides in.
Teddy, get inside! Mr. T's waiting on you.
Ted ran to the embassy to find Mr. Terrific, while the JLI battled the 4 bounty hunters. Dimitri ran up to Terra at full force with B flying alongside him.
I'm so glad I finally get to have a real champ. Standard American overconfidence. Funny how a Ruski thinks he can take out a born and bred team. Oh my god, my foot's on fire!
Oh, please, shut your hole!
On the other side of the battlefield, Tor rushed up to Deadshot with a joyful smile.
They sent you, of all people, to deal with me.
Then Tor, in one flick of the wrist, put the bounty hunter in a block of ice.
And you were giving him so much trouble.
Tora, move!
Yelled the elongated man as he stretched his body around the ever-expanding Chun-Yul.
You cannot contain my might, Earthman!
Tora! I could use some help here!
Have you seen Terra?
What does that have to do with anything?
At him.
What the... Oh, I get what you mean.
Ralph then moved down to Chun-Yul's legs, wrapping around them over and over and over again until he crashed down to the earth below. While that happened, Lobo and Booster engaged in a rather one-sided fistfight as Booster punched Lobo's rock-hard abs, and the main man looked for where that bug ran off to. In the ruins of the embassy, Blue Beetle and Mr. Terrific locked themselves in one of the temporary holding cells.
Rough day.
Can't believe that I'm the one saying this, but you really think now is the time to be making jokes? I have to find a way out of this, and my utility belt's tapped out, and I can't outthink Lobo's muscle, and I don't know what to do here, Michael. I don't know what to do. What should I do? What should I do?
Use your brain, Ted.
What?
Use your brain, Ted. And I don't mean like me. I don't mean calculate every variable or build another device to solve the problem. Your greatest strength is not your raw intelligence, and it ain't the gadgets on your belt. It's your wits. It's your guile. It's the way you see an angle no one else sees and exploit it before they even know there was a game being played. I can outcompute you. Batman can outplan you. But neither of us can improvise like you when the walls are collapsing and the odds are impossible. You found a loophole in an intergalactic contract because you think sideways. You beat Deadshot because you attacked the flaw in his system, not the man. You survived Terra because you made him hesitate. That's not Mr. Terrific thinking. That's Blue Beetle thinking. So stop trying to be the smartest man in the room and start being the slipperiest. Stop trying to match gods and start outmaneuvering them. You are not redundant, Ted. You're unpredictable. And right now, unpredictability is the only thing that's going to save us.
Thanks. I think I have an idea.
Ted quickly went to the computer and began reworking code, transmitting some form of signal.
What are you...
Okay, well, it's not exactly news that I'm not gonna survive this. I've got 4 of the universe's greatest bounty hunters coming after me, who is a powerless dude in a bug costume who has lost just so much blood. I'm going to die. Unless they aren't coming after me.
What do you mean?
I got so much blood loss, I still have to explain this to the third smartest man. Okay, I mean that if I can hack into MangaCon's system, which so far is rather simple, then I can change who the bounty targets.
See, now that's some Ted Cord thinking.
As the pair thought they could pull it off, they heard a rumbling sound as Lobo finally made it to them.
No more running from me, Bug.
No, you're right. No more running, Lobo. You've got me.
Okay, Bastich, time to die.
Wait, just... God. One last request. Just before I go.
Fragging Terrans and their stupid death rituals. Fine. Speak before I squish you.
I appreciate it. Could you just please check the bounty one last time?
Oh, my fragging space dolphins, fine! Okay, it says here, 6 Zillion Credits. Awarded to whoever kills... Manga Khan. Oh. Frag! I just spent too long on the wrong basket! That's annoying. Alright, dweeb. I'm out of here. Sorry for wrecking your city or whatever.
The main man then boarded his space hog and rode off to hunt his true target.
Okay, well, now that that's behind me, I'm just gonna go take a nap for, I don't know, like a month?
You have monitor duty tomorrow.
Just my luck.
Just kidding, I got you.
Ow. Thanks, Michael.
Back in the stars, the ruins of Manga Khan's movie studio, the cluster lies. Inside said cluster, the previous movie executive and current retired overlord, Manga Khan, sits in a bubble bath enjoying his day.
Oh, I can just imagine my dear friend Lobo coming in and presenting me with the head of that vile insect. Oh, I can open his tracker now. Oh, he's 3 galaxies away. Now 2. Now 1. Wow, he's going fast.
Suddenly, the bounty hunter bursts through the glass.
And claims the hell out of that bounty. You can quit now, Fan Man Judy. It's the main man's turn to narrate. So I easily cut off that bastard's head, trapped his little gaseous form in this here jar, and made his stupid little toaster give me my 6 Zillion Credits. Which, of course, all went to my favorite space dolphin reserve. I gotta love those creatures. That's all, bastitches!
Written by John Keller. Directed by Connor Dilworth. Featuring the voice talents of Alex Derrickson as the Blue Beetle, Connor Dilworth as Lobo, Rocket Red, Terra Man, and Manga Khan, Friendly Medic VA as Mr. Terrific, Dominic EmAr Trevino as J. Garrick, Grayson Luther as Guy Gardner, Elongated Man, and Deadshot, Lilly Pierce as Ice, Zoey Hebert as Fire, Garen Seho as Booster Gold, Katrina Clairvoyant as Vixen, Elle as Sue Dibny, Noah Marshall as Skeets, Robin, and Clayface, AJ as Elrond, with AA Fox as Batman, Thomas Barker as the Faceless Hunter, and Brendan McGinley as the Phantom Stranger.